chosen one, listen carefully. They didn't just misunderstand you, they watched you quietly, closely. Long before you understood your own depth, someone else noticed it. And that's when the pressure began. You were questioned when you spoke the truth, doubted when you stood firm, corrected for being too much when you were simply being real. And what hurts the most is that it didn't come from strangers. It came from places that should have felt safe. From people you trusted, from environments where love was expected. But resistance showed up instead. You were targeted in moments you didn't see coming, rejected when you were most vulnerable, broken during seasons when you were already carrying too much. And for a long time you thought maybe it was just bad luck. Maybe life was unfair. Maybe you were weak. Maybe you were the problem. But here's the truth most people never realize. Some pain isn't random. Some opposition isn't accidental. What happened to you was resistance. The enemy does not waste energy on what has no future. People do not try to break what carries no power. Pressure only comes when purpose is present. They saw something in you before you ever did. A strength you hadn't named yet. A light you hadn't learned how to protect. That's why the attacks came early. That's why confusion surrounded your growth. That's why you were challenged more than others who seemed to coast through life. They tried to silence you with shame. Made you feel guilty for having emotions. Embarrassed you for asking questions. Convincing you that your sensitivity was weakness, not discernment. They tried to slow you down with trauma, wounds that lingered, memories that replayed, moments that stayed longer than they should have. They tried to distract you with emotional pain you didn't deserve, pulling your focus away from who you were becoming and forcing you to survive instead of rise. There were nights you questioned everything, nights where the silence felt louder than any voice, moments when you replayed conversations, wondering what you could have done differently. You blamed yourself, you overanalyzed your actions, you carried guilt that was never yours to hold. You wondered why it seemed harder for you than for everyone else, why relationships felt heavier, why joy came in waves instead of staying. There were seasons when you felt like maybe you were broken beyond repair, like something inside you had been damaged too deeply, like you were permanently behind. But listen carefully, because this is where everything shifts. They were not sent to destroy you. They were allowed to reveal you. Every wound exposed a layer of strength you didn't know you had. Every betrayal sharpened your awareness. Every tear trained your spirit to recognize truth from deception. You didn't just endure pain, you learned from it, even when you didn't want to. You didn't just suffer, you adapted. You didn't collapse, you adjusted. And while it felt like life was trying to take something from you, something else was quietly forming within you. You became more observant, more discerning, more careful with who you let close. You noticed patterns others ignored. You felt shifts before they happened. You learned to read energy, tone, silence. That didn't come from comfort. That came from survival. What they thought would break you actually trained you. What they hoped would weaken you strengthened your core. What they used to hurt you awakened your depth. And the most powerful part, you're still standing. Not numb, not empty, but aware. You are not who you were before the pressure, and that's not a loss. That's growth. The pain didn't remove your calling. It refined it. The rejection didn't erase your worth. It separated you from what couldn't follow you forward. You weren't overlooked. You were protected. You weren't delayed. You were being prepared, and now you feel it, don't you? That quiet shift inside, that sense that something is changing, even if you can't explain it yet. That's not imagination. That's activation. What they tried to use to break you unlocked something ancient within you, something resilient, something unshakable. You didn't lose yourself in the process. You found yourself. And from this point forward, nothing attacks you without permission, and nothing resists you without reason. Because the same pressure that once tried to crush you has now positioned you to rise. What they meant as damage did not destroy you. It disciplined you. What felt like loss was not punishment. It was separation. God was removing what could not go where you were being taken. What broke your heart didn't harden you. It sharpened you. Trauma didn't end you. It introduced you to yourself. Before the pain, you were moving on instinct. After the pain, you began moving with awareness. You started seeing things you used to overlook. You noticed tone instead of just words, patterns instead of promises, intentions instead of appearances. Your vision became clearer, not because life became easier, but because illusion fell away. You started feeling deeper too, not weaker, deeper. You felt truth in your spirit before it reached your mind. You sensed danger before it showed its face. You recognized alignment before it spoke your name. And somehow, in the middle of the chaos, you began hearing God louder. Not always in noise, not always in answers, but in conviction, in redirection, in quiet restraint when something didn't feel right. The same pain that should have made you bitter made you aware. The same pressure that should have crushed you activated something dormant. You didn't just survive it, you were reshaped by it. Your tolerance dropped. You stopped tolerating disrespect disguised as familiarity. You stopped tolerating inconsistency masked as effort. You stopped tolerating environments that required you to shrink. Your boundaries strengthened, not because you became cold, but because you became clear. You learned that access to you is a privilege, not a right. You learned that peace is too expensive to trade for approval. You learned that not everything deserves an explanation. Your spirit woke up. There was a moment, maybe quiet, maybe painful, where something inside you said, "Never again." Never again will you abandon yourself to be accepted. Never again will you silence your discernment to keep the peace. Never again will you beg to be valued. You stopped asking people to choose you. You started choosing alignment. You stopped chasing connection. You started attracting purpose. And that shift confused people who were comfortable with the old version of you. They noticed you weren't as available, not as reactive, not as easily manipulated. You didn't explain yourself. You observed. You didn't argue. You detached. You didn't force. You allowed. That wasn't emotional shutdown. That was spiritual maturity, because healing didn't come by accident. It came by design. God was not patching you up to send you back into the same patterns. He was activating you for something higher. Every wound became instruction. Every betrayal became discernment. Every tear became clarity. God does not waste wounds. He converts them into wisdom. What once triggered you now teaches you. What once controlled you now informs you. What once hurt you now protects you. You don't react the same anymore. You pause, you listen, you discern, and that's not weakness. That's authority. You learned when to speak and when to stay silent, when to move and when to wait, when to release and when to hold firm. You stopped explaining your growth to people committed to misunderstanding you. Because something in you knows now. Not everyone deserves the updated version of you. You became selective, not selfish. Selective. Selective with your energy. Selective with your time. Selective with your trust. And the more you honored that, the more peace followed. You realized that some doors closed not because you weren't good enough, but because you were outgrowing the room. You realized that rejection wasn't proof of failure, it was confirmation of direction. You realized that pain didn't remove your calling, it refined it. The version of you that emerged carries depth, carries discernment, carries authority earned through endurance. You don't need validation anymore, you need alignment, and that's the activation. Not loud, not flashy, but undeniable. Something in you is awake now. Something that cannot be manipulated by fear. Something that refuses to return to survival mode. You didn't lose yourself in the pain, you met yourself there. And from this place forward, you don't just exist. You move with purpose. What hurt you didn't win, it prepared you, and what tried to stop you only confirmed that God was doing something powerful within you. Look at you now. You're not the same person who walked into the fire. You don't move with hesitation anymore. You move with intention. You don't speak to be accepted. You speak with authority. There's a weight to your words now, a calm confidence, a knowing that doesn't need permission. You sense things before they happen. You feel shifts in rooms. You recognize when something is off before it shows itself. That didn't come from comfort. That came from experience. What once triggered you now teaches you. What once wounded you now warns you. What once controlled your emotions now fuels your clarity. You didn't harden, you matured. You are no longer operating from survival. You're operating from assignment. Before, you reacted to everything. Now, you respond with discernment. Before, you fought to be understood. Now, you understand yourself, and that's enough. They thought the pressure would collapse you, but it clarified you. Under pressure, distractions fell away. Under pressure, false connections broke. Under pressure, your true priorities rose to the surface. They thought the betrayal would end you, but it exposed your calling. If they hadn't walked away, you might have stayed small to keep them comfortable. If they hadn't betrayed you, you might have trusted what was sent to delay you. If they hadn't disappointed you, you might have settled for less than what God planned. They tried to break you, but God used it to activate you. You didn't lose anything, you were upgraded. You didn't lose people, you lost attachments. You didn't lose time, you gained wisdom. You weren't delayed. You were being prepared. Prepared to carry responsibility without ego. Prepared to walk alone without fear. Prepared to stand firm without applause. That's why you can't go back. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unlearn what you've discerned. You can't fit into spaces that require you to shrink. Your spirit refuses to settle now. It won't tolerate half-truths. It won't entertain manipulation. It won't compromise peace for familiarity. That discomfort you feel when revisiting old environments, that's not pride. That's alignment rejecting misplacement. You don't argue the same anymore. You don't explain the same anymore. You don't chase the same anymore. Because you know now, what's meant for you won't require you to betray yourself. There is a quiet authority resting on you. Not loud, not arrogant, but undeniable. People sense it even if they can't name it. Some are drawn to it, others are threatened by it. That's how you know you've changed. You're no longer available for chaos. You're no longer accessible to manipulation. You're no longer moved by what once controlled you. You don't need validation anymore. You need alignment. You don't need applause. You need obedience, because something inside you understands now. You weren't preserved through all that pain just to live ordinary. You were refined for impact, positioned for influence, activated for purpose. This is why your heart feels heavier sometimes, not with sadness, but with responsibility. This is why solitude feels necessary. This is why your circle got smaller while your clarity got stronger. God didn't isolate you to punish you. He separated you to prepare you. There are assignments that require solitude. There are callings that can't survive distraction. There are levels you can't reach carrying old versions of yourself. You are not late. You are right on time. And nothing they did, no betrayal, no rejection, no abandonment, can undo what God has already finished. They played a role, but they were not the author. They applied pressure, but they didn't determine the outcome. You are activated now, activated to walk in truth even when it costs you. Activated to choose peace over approval, activated to move forward without needing closure from the past. The season of survival is over. The season of preparation is complete. What comes next requires courage, clarity, and commitment. And you have all three now. Look at you, still standing. Still chosen, still becoming, and this time nothing can stop what God has awakened within you.